Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my eternal nightmare. I hope you're strapped in, strapped on, and ready to rumble, because today we're going to talk about the absolute scummiest people in the trading card game space. Scalpers. Now, if you were to look up the word scalper in a thesaurus, you'd see the word pathetic listed there, because that's what this behavior is. Scalpers are people who purchase large amounts of high demand, low supply items for the express purpose of selling it online with an insane markup. This happens with all sorts of things, from concert tickets to game consoles, sports cards, and of course, trading card games. Scalping in TCGs really took off in late 2020 with Pokemon around the release of the set Vivid Voltage. I remember this time because I had just gotten back into playing the game and then it was ruined for me. Pretty much overnight, Pokemon went from its normal amount of interest to an absolute burning dumpster fire. This was thanks to a combination of pandemic relief checks, people being inside with nothing to do, and Logan Paul. Because when he's not busy filming dead bodies or creating NFT scams, he's hunting Charizards. This sudden boom in popularity launched Pokemon into goddamn orbit, and the scalpers took full advantage of it. One of my local game stores started getting bombarded with people asking them for the newest Pokemon sets. People who clearly were not interested in the actual cards themselves. But more famously, scalpers would start to line up at various Targets and Walmarts before they opened, waiting to be the first ones in. And as soon as those glorious sliding doors parted ways, they'd book it straight to the card game aisle and start literally scooping Pokemon products into their carts. There were even fights breaking out. And it didn't just end with Pokemon. Late 2020 and the first half of 2021 were a wild time for card games, with pretty much all of them seeing huge market booms. Flesh and Blood, a small new indie game at the time, saw an absolute insane skyrocketing in prices, with some cards going into the tens of thousands. This boom would inevitably come crashing down though, and in the second half of 2021, it did just that. However, the scalpers were still there, lurking in the shadows, biding their time, waiting for another opportunity in the TCG world. And then, in 2023, they got their chance. Because Disney Lorcana came out, and boy did they not print enough of it. Everything that happened with Pokemon? Yep, basically same thing here. Stores were being ransacked for their supply mere hours after it was stocked, and the online prices were going out of control. People were going so far with Lorcana that they were buying and selling the box store displays. No, I'm not kidding. And yes, this is a sign of a collapsing society. And it won't stop collapsing, because literally a few hours after I started writing the script for this video, the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam launched a promotion with Pokemon, giving out these Van Gogh inspired Pikachu cards. Can you guess who showed up? Oh, and how much are those Pikachus going for? Ha, screw you, that's how much. As you can see, scalpers will take any opportunity to make a quick buck off your beloved hobby, regardless of how anybody actually involved in that hobby feels about it. But what do I personally think about scalpers? Oh no, I'm not so stupid as to share my actual opinions online. No, for this part, I'm gonna hand it off to Mr. Ribbits over here to add a bit of, comedic effect to the sweeping generalizations that we're about to make, and also so I can pretend that this was all just a joke if the video isn't received well by the public. Anyways, take it away, my friend. Hello class, my name is Mr. Ribbits, and today we're gonna learn a little bit about the anatomy and behavior of a scalper, so you can better know how to handle them in case you encounter one in the wild. See, scalpers are a very specific breed of people. They're usually guys, typically of the bro variety. There are some women scalpers, but they're far more rare, so for the sake of simplicity, we're not gonna be covering them in this lesson. The majority of these bro types, however, can usually be found wearing either a baseball cap or a snapback, and their idea of nice clothing is sweatpants and a graphic tee, maybe a hoodie. They tend to keep scraggly goatees and have the intelligence and competency of actual children, which is why you see them going apeshit over children's trading cards. They're also typically quite rude and obnoxious, and they swear that their NFT profile will be worth something again someday. As you can see by all the earlier footage, which I will show again, they don't really have much care or concern for looking like decent, well-adjusted individuals. And that's what makes the scalper so dangerous. They lack any form of empathy, morality, or ability to please the opposite sex. They're incredibly juvenile, greedy, selfish, and they have the dangerous combination of being really dumb but thinking they're omniscient gods. Now, I'll be honest with you all. Personally, not a big fan of scalpers, if you could believe it, but why is that? Because fuck these people. They aren't people who are trying to make their way by adding value to society. No, they're literally doing the opposite. They're taking what other people have made from the people who actually want it, all just to make a quick buck. And some of them are just brazen about it. I mean, look at this degenerate loser, proudly showing off his Lorcana haul. 11 gift boxes and all the loose packs with the display. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you looking to grab a couple packs for your child? You know the demographic the game was made for? Well, eat shit, little Timmy. Sky B needs to make that bank. You want to actually play this card game? You selfish little prick. Won't you think of the poor scalpers? But don't worry. Sky B with the tiny P made sure to leave 12 of the gift boxes and the starter decks. How thoughtful of him. It's nice to see what a kind, considerate soul he is. He's still taking that display though. See, the biggest issue I have with all of this is that I am a lover of trading card games, and I hate seeing people who have no interest in the actual hobby taking the product from those who are. I don't give two shits about Lorcana myself, but I remember when I got into Flesh and Blood right after it boomed in 2021 and the prices were insane. As someone who was just looking to play the game, it made it way harder to get into. So I know what it's like to have these bros scooping everything up on their mommy's credit cards trying to get rich while you're just trying to get a few packs to enjoy the actual product. And honestly, I think what's almost as bad as the actual scalpers themselves are the people who try and defend it. There's a few arguments that are made to either excuse or even endorse scalping, so I want to go through them in order of the least dumb to literal brain rot that makes me want to gouge my eyes out with an ice cream scoop. The first argument is that we should just be fine with it and ignore it, because the moment more of whatever is being scalped is produced, these people are going to get stuck with a bunch of dead product. And yes, the retribution feels good, and we all absolutely want to see these assholes lose everything and wind up with tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt for their shitty actions. It still doesn't help to solve anything though. Not only are they still taking the product, but if they put themselves into debt, they're just going to try and scalp even harder next time to dig themselves out of that hole. So it's just kind of a lose-lose situation for the rest of us. The next argument is that it's the fault of Ravensburger, since they should make sure that they print enough. They create the supply, and if it doesn't meet the demand, then of course people are going to scalp it. Now, while Ravensburger did underestimate the demand for their game and seriously underprinted Lorcana, that still doesn't excuse scalping. Part of being an adult is that you should have learned through your life how to act in society. You should have developed some sense of decency and fairness and some consideration for those around you. Because, I don't know, man, I don't go to stores and scoop half the goddamn product off the shelf, so maybe I'm the weird one. Another argument that is sometimes thrown around is the good old, well, if I didn't scalp it, someone else would have. Sure, there are enough shithead losers out there that this statement is probably true, but could you imagine using the argument of someone else would do it anywhere else? Sir, do you have any idea how fast you were going? Oh, officer, don't worry about it. I mean, come on, if I wasn't speeding, someone else was going to, right? Get out of the vehicle. But what if people need to scalp to feed their families? With the current socioeconomic status of most of the world, people are turning more and more to alternative methods of making money in order to get themselves ahead in life, regardless of the morals around it. And so perhaps the increase in scalping is going hand in hand with the deterioration of modern economics. And to that I'd argue, shut up, nerd. However, the absolute worst argument that is fully in favor of scalping can be summed up in this Facebook post. And so good that I printed it out. A lot of people are complaining about scalpers. Let them do their thing. No need to expose yourself being salty because they managed to get packs and you didn't. If they can hustle, let them hustle. If you don't like the prices, don't buy them. Stop complaining and put in the work they are doing. This is just a fair warning. I am about to get really mad. Fuck you! Salty because they managed to get packs and you didn't? You're damn right I'm salty about that. These assholes don't even want the cards. They just want to sell the product back to those who actually do for a huge markup. If they can hustle, let them hustle. Not everything in this goddamn world needs to be a hustle, you brain dead. Oh yeah. I am so sick and tired of people who only see the world through the singular, minute lens of money, like it's the only thing on God's green earth. Have any of these people ever heard of the concept of enjoying things? Do they know what fun is? Do these people ever stop and appreciate a sunset or a work of art? Not everything has to be about making more money to support your hedonistic consumerist lifestyle. Holy shit! If you don't like the prices, don't buy them. Okay, so this part is actually true. People who buy from scalpers are half of the problem here, but when it's the only way to get the damn product, I don't necessarily blame people. But yeah, you shouldn't, don't buy from these low-life degenerates, okay? You are part of the problem. Stop complaining and put in the work they are doing. My brother in Christ. Imagine thinking that waiting outside of a Target for an hour is work. Oh, what's that? You have a job that you have to be at to feed your family? You actually have to work at 7 a.m. because unlike scalpers, you still don't live with mommy? Why don't you just stop being lazy and actually put in some effort for once? Like these bros. I swear, these are the exact same people who would look down on McDonald's workers for being wage slaves, except that those workers are, you know, actual productive members of society. I really hate scalpers, okay? I really honestly do. I hate the obnoxious assertion that what they're doing is totally not selfish and shitty. The idea that it's a genuine hustle is also completely pathetic. I'm a firm believer that if you're gonna make money in this world, you should provide an actual service to people or make something that people actually want. Like, let's be real. Me standing here in this frog hat screaming at the camera is still putting more value into the world than these assholes scrambling for Pikachu promos. So what can we do about scalpers? Well, unfortunately not a whole lot. A lot of stores are limiting how much product you can purchase, and we all can certainly just, not buy the overpriced stuff online, but ultimately, there's not gonna be a way to stop scalping. The next time something is in high demand, these assholes will crawl out of their basements and suck it all up like the putrid leeches they are. But that doesn't mean we should at all be accepting of it. In fact, there were two purposes to this video. The first was to give myself some catharsis, because my God, does it feel good to rip into these people. But the second thing was to point out that we should just mock them. Severely. Because I genuinely believe that scalping is a really shitty and selfish thing to do. It takes away from those who actually want the thing that they're buying. So I think it's perfectly fine to mock these people and to call them assholes. Because quite frankly, if you're gonna wait outside of a Target just to rush the card aisle so you can scoop it all into a cart, you're a degenerate loser. I have no respect for you, and I hope that you wind up in serious debt for your absolute asshole decisions. You guys are a bunch of losers. But you know who aren't losers? My patrons. That's right. You can support me and my podcast, the Chadcast. By the way, I have a podcast. I just forget to mention it. But you can support me on Patreon, because you could join the ranks of Giga Chads like Saint, Geeks First, Elixir, Smokeopotamus, John, Ty, James, Chemical, Bryant, Spencer, and Transient Fire. And Vinny, who I totally didn't forget to add while scripting this. We've also got the Alpha Chad Thomas and the Super Chads Bruno, Jake, Thal, Cece, Eric, Ben, Zajima, Cameron, and Yogwadoodles21. You're all beautiful, and I love you. Scalpers, eat shit.